the premier sports talk radio. It's Tony's Takes.
Here we go.
Welcome back to another great episode of Tony's Takes live right here on YouTube for the best show in sports talk radio. It is Tony's Takes, and of course, I am not sitting alone in the studio. Sitting next to me is my co-host, Jimmy D. Jim Jam, how are you?
Doing good, Tony. Glad to be back.
Excellent. We're going to start with one thing, and the show's going to flow, as we've said, in a certain way most weeks. What's the most important thing on our mind? And it was funny, me and Jim were just talking about this before the episode started. You know what's not top of mind? The Sixers. The Sixers are absolutely back of mind with regards to sports. In the sport, you turn on 94 WIP, no one's talking about the Sixers. I listened to Kyle Neubeck today, actually, Jim. You know who that is, right? He writes for Philly Voice. You've heard of him.
Right.
He was on the morning show, and, they started asking him about Eagles questions. Because that's just how little there is to talk about Sixers basketball.
Well, it's just not fun right now.
Right. Which brings me to my next point. And that's the Eagles. Which, in a season, it's so funny, Jim. What did I say back when we played San Francisco? That game was going to matter. We're looking at it. That game still matters because it's our tiebreaker with the 49ers.
Sure.
Who are in the running with the wild card. But everything's looking good with the Eagles. I think they're right. We said before the season, they're a 500 team. We said it before we saw this offense, before we saw anything with Nick Sirianni. We didn't know anything about Nick Sirianni. No one really knew anything about Nick Sirianni. If you told me you did, I think you're lying to me because there's just no way. There's no film on him. This guy's brand new. He's like brand spanking new practically. And I think the good thing about Sirianni has been, and Jim, feel free to jump in if you disagree or agree with what I'm about to say. But when we had to pivot to the run game, we didn't stubbornly just keep doing the same thing over and over again. We pivoted, we run the ball, our offensive line looks like a strength again. Not saying it's our number one aspect of the team. I think the defense has been the number one aspect of the team. But the offensive line has just been a really solid rock for us, and has been the difference maker in these wins and losses, especially when you consider how slow the team gets to start every game. All throughout the season, we've been very slow to start. Last week against the Giants, the first quarter, I thought we were going to lose the game. Me and Jim were texting back and forth. Well, this team's, it's like sickening to watch them struggle as much as they were. But then all of a sudden they flip a switch. It's 24-3, and you're like, how'd that happen?
Yeah, I don't know. So the last time we talked about the Eagles, right? Because we had the bye week and everything. The week before Christmas and all that. Last time we talked about the Eagles, they played the Jets, right? And they had sort of an easy win there. Obviously, it was like a 33-18 game or something along those lines.
Yep.
We take the break, and then as soon as we come out of the bye, it seems like first quarter mishaps, right? We have the interception off the foot of Goddard in the was that the Giants game? Washington game.
That was so freaky. But yeah, that was like one of those things. It's like the first drive, and that happens after like the second throw or whatever.
Exactly. So we had that weird Washington thing, and then we had the horrible fumble from Jalen Hurts in the first quarter against Washington. Right, Washington returns it back to like the 45, gives them good field position. Then it makes it seem like Washington's in the game, which they obviously were not. They never had a shot at that game. Then we go into this Giants game, and the same thing starts happening again. There's a bad interceptions, and Hurts looks like he doesn't know what he's doing. And then all of a sudden, he's just pinpoint targeting people like he's just been doing it all his life.
Like he's a regular quarterback.
It's a tale of two different Hurtses, really. And I really think that I think you're exactly right. The offensive line is the strongest part of this team. It has been for the last 10 years. And the best part is we have fresh blood coming in this year. You know, with all of the injuries, like Brandon Brooks going down and Sayamalu being down, this is fresh blood. You know, Jordan Mailata's a new left tackle.
Last
really.
year, we were trying to figure out the best position for him.
Right.
Like your father was calling in demanding he play center,
Which was not the best take in the world, but
just that was the difference. It's just like a world of difference now.
Now Andre Dillard is a backup. Like, this is a fresh offensive line. We're gonna have to figure out who replaces Kelsey down the line, who replaces Lane Johnson. But 3 out of the 5 guys are pretty new. So the best part is the offensive line has been carried through for the last 10 years, and it's great. And you're seeing the success with the run, like you said. 175 yards per game over 7 or 8 games. It's been nuts to see. And maybe those defenses aren't the best run defenses, but it does go on to show, like, the offensive line, at the end of games, they're saying, oh, we really wanted 200 yards for the running backs. So it is something that they figured out. We all called for the run at the beginning of the season, and I'm starting to think Philadelphia is just a run-heavy place to be.
We should be.
That's all we want is to pound the ball.
We find running backs like it's no one's business. We really have never struggled at the running back position. Like when Sanders came to the scene, you're like, oh, this guy's like a second-round pick, and this is a very viable starter in the league where he can run north and south pretty decently for the size he has. He's been more productive in the NFL than Saquon has been.
Definitely, and that's the one thing that we always talk about. Penn State backs, you look at Saquon versus Miles, and while Miles has been hurt a lot this year, he's still on pace for 1,000 yards. He's still there. Saquon, he's horrible, and you know what? I don't even think Saquon's that bad. He has the talent to be a great running back. It's more about the fact that New York has the worst offensive line in our division.
And you're not going to get anywhere.
No.
Without one.
And he has been injured. Saquon has had some crucial injuries. Like, Sanders has had some bad injuries, but they haven't been ones that take away from the longevity of your career.
Right.
Saquon's are, high ankle sprains, and I don't think he tore his ACL, but he had some sort of knee problem. There's just no way that Saquon is going to be able to have the longevity that Miles Sanders should have. Now, freaky things happen in the NFL all the time. Running backs only last 4 years on average, so who knows what'll be the end of the story. Saquon could go somewhere else and have a great career, but I still think Miles Sanders has the better outlook right now.
Yeah, and bringing back to our original point, I just want to first, Evan Guerin in the chat goes, hello, Tony and James. Hello, Evan. Chat is open. Anyone who's listening wants to chat with us, feel free. We'll read it out loud on the show. Bringing back to my original point is, one, the offensive line has been rock solid. It sets up our running game real well. Nick Sirianni made that adjustment, and the team's succeeding because of it. 2, having a good offensive line has led to the team succeeding later in games. It allows you to dominate the clock. It allows you to dominate time of possession. It helps you later in the game, keeps your defense fresh. I mean, the defense looks fresh. We're generating turnovers way more than we did last year. I don't know if it was last year or the year before, but there was a year when the Eagles were like last in turnovers created. Like, we would go games without an interception. And now it feels like we're actually forcing a lot of mistakes on for opposing offenses. We force opposing offenses to make these mistakes. And that I think all goes back to having a good offensive line and the strategy of running the ball. If you can run the ball efficiently, you take time of possession, you keep your defense fresh, it keeps you in the game, and it just allows you to run the clock out. And when you play in cold weather environments, it keeps you in the games again there too. And especially with a quarterback whose arm isn't that strong. Jalen Hurts is still, I don't want to say he has a weak arm, he's on a noodle arm, but he can't throw 30 times a game. That's just not the quarterback we have. The quarterback we have is when we run the ball 3 times and then do a play action, he could be really good at that. And he's shown that he can throw the ball downfield really well, but it all props up on what can we get open, what can we get the opposing defense to bite on. And I mean, it's just like me and my modified Princeton in basketball gym. I love an old-fashioned scheme that isn't dead. It isn't 4 corners like in basketball. This isn't total power running. It's we line up at center sometimes. We run north to south when we have to. We don't do these handoff runs all the time. We do some traditional north-south running, which was always my gripe with Peterson. It was the one thing we never really did properly. And it makes you a better player when you do that. And, Jalen's a dynamic player. Kevin McDonald goes, let's go. Are we on St. Joe? Let's go. Where are we on Joe's?
He's asking if we're on St. Joe's. The fans want St. Joe's. That's what
They
they're
want
here for.
St. Joe's talk. I would think this is an Eagles episode, but we can make it a St. Joe's episode. I'm more than happy to for the fans.
We'll get there when we get there. I believe that.
We'll make our picks and then we'll get to Joe's. And here, Kev, just for you, I'm gonna put this in the live chat. Jalen Hurts is the Miller that is a top 3 guy on the XC team.
The Miler.
Oh, that looks like 2 L's. The Miler.
He's the Miler, so he thinks that Jalen Hurts has this ability to go up in distance, even though he's specialized in a different field.
Kev goes big win tonight against Richmond coming, possibly. Kev, I just pinged you in the chat my latest opinion piece defending Billy Lang. Defend Billy Lang.
We have
that's a Bishop Eustace grad right there.
I had mentioned to you off show that we have a big prediction coming in.
We do.
And
is it from Kev?
It is from Kevin McDonald himself.
That's okay.
Yeah.
I am open to Kev's predictions. Speaking of predictions, Jim, do we want to go to Eagles prediction for Washington? Can you pull up the FanDuel lines when you get a chance?
I'm pulling them up right now.
So the last time we did, me and Jim went 2-0.
Yes, we went 2-0 2 weeks in a row because we went 2-0 against the Jets.
Yep,
we
which easy pick.
Thing, and we went 2-0 against Washington, and then we missed last week.
It would have been 2-0.
Can't blame us because it's the holidays. We'll just scratch it.
It was Christmas, not the holidays.
Oh,
Jim.
yeah.
Come
Sorry, Christmas.
What kind of show do you think we're running here?
So anyway, we are 16-10 for Tony, and 15-11 for me.
16-10.
16-10. We've made a real big push over the last few weeks.
If I can get to 20-10, I would be thrilled.
All right.
And that's a possibility. We have 2 games left.
So right now, as it sits, remember this game is in Washington.
Mm-hmm.
The Birds are favorited for 4 points, so -4 for the Eagles or +4 for Washington. You add the 3 points because it's you get 3 points for being at home already.
Yeah, so we're 1 point favorites.
Yeah, exactly. And then the total is 46 even.
Oh, Jim.
Currently on FanDuel.
Okay, in the last game against Washington, it was 27-17. So that would have 37. That would have put us at 37. That would have put us at 49 points, if I'm doing my math correct. Yeah. Am I doing my math? No,
Wait,
I'm sorry. No. I'm sorry.
54.
37. It would be 44 points. 27 plus 17 is
44.
44.
44.
Yeah. I don't know why I was thinking 49. It was 44 points, so that's underneath the 46.
Right.
Eagles actually play better on the road than they do at home.
Yep, all year.
In some instances.
Where all their wins came from.
Yeah, except for the last 2 were at home. But yeah, the Jets win was on the road. Broncos win was on the road. Lions win. Panthers. Falcons. It was one point that I thought was funny was the Eagles just beat up on teams that don't have good quarterbacks, which is true.
As they should.
That Buccaneers and 49ers games, we're going to look back and be like, oh, we could have, like, those.
Even the first Giants game.
Yeah.
Buccaneers, Giants, 49ers. I mean, if the things go the right way, this team is 11-4.
Yeah, that first loss, that Dallas loss, that divisional, that's when you knew the division was going to be Dallas.
Yeah.
It's like they smoked us.
Yeah.
Okay, back to the point. So, I don't know if Hinkle's playing.
Heineke. He should be playing, but let's assume that he is right now.
Okay, Washington also lost to Dallas in a pretty big way, 56-14. Now, that was at Dallas, but I've heard rumors that they're falling apart. So, Jim, I will give the first prediction because I'm in the lead, and I don't want to gain advantage on you. So I'm going to. I think the Eagles are hot. I'm taking them on the spread.
Eagles -4.
Taking Eagles -4, and I'm going to take the under. I just don't think they're going to score that many points. Even like a good win against Washington, 27-17.
Yeah.
We didn't go over those points. I just don't think it's going to happen.
The thing with that game, and
that's a tough one.
This is why it's really hard for me to make this pick. The reason Washington had 7 more points was because of the turnover, that big turnover in the beginning with the interception off of Goddard's foot.
Yeah,
they wouldn't have had that 7 points.
Right. Could have been 27-10 easily.
Yeah. So, and that could have made it 30-10 or something like that. But I'm going to go a little against the grain for what I'm feeling. I just feel like I have to just do something different just to break it up. I need to
This could dig you a hole, though, Jim.
I need to find a way to catch you. And maybe the division spirit, how things can go a little crazy in division games can change this up. But I'm going to take the Eagles -4 and the over. I want this to be a shootout between Washington and the Birds.
So you and I are taking the same spread.
Same spread, but I'm going to go with the over. That's where I got to separate from you.
This is the problem with the betting. The betting, it's like I could be right every week and you'll never catch. Like
exactly, yeah.
Oh, it's like a double whammy. I have to pick it wrong, and then you all you have to be right, and I have to be wrong at the same time. It's just like this conundrum that you find yourself in. Very interesting, Jim. I respect it. I don't know how it's going to play. Last year you did beat me. So this is a little
by one.
This is a little revenge this year.
It's so funny how close it is again because I only beat you by one win last year.
It's funny. It's like 500. And last year we were 500 too. We were not losing.
Yeah,
we were like one game up.
Sure. Yep.
Now this year I'm big up.
We're both big up right now. This could be really bad for me though.
Kev McDonald goes big win tonight against. I already read the one. You guys are plus units. Life's too short to take the under. I took the under, Kev. I did it. It happens. I think we're both agreeing that they're going to win. If they win this week, I don't even know if it's questionable. I think they make the playoffs if they win this week. In all honesty, because of the Garoppolo injury, I don't think the Vikings are going to catch us. And we would have the tiebreaker on them, I think.
So who needs to lose this week against? The 49ers,
the Vikings
and
the Saints already lost.
The Saints? I think if the Saints win out, then it could be close.
We want the Saints to lose against Dallas.
Yeah.
Wait, no, they're not playing Dallas. I'm sorry.
Dallas is playing the Cardinals.
Yeah. Who are the Saints playing?
The Saints Panthers. They're playing the Panthers.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
They lost to the Dolphins, and that was like a saving grace for us.
If the Saints win out and if we lose out, then we're out and the Saints are in, I think.
Why? We have the tie over them.
Do we?
We beat them.
I think they're still in the hunt.
Okay, whatever. But they are one of the teams that we have to worry about.
Sure.
So, I'm trying to. Usually they have playoffs that you can pull up, like with the odds and everything, but I'm not seeing it.
I'll pull up the playoff picture.
Yeah, pull up the playoff picture because they usually tell us like who has the tiebreakers, and that's what I'm curious about. Oh, okay. Let's go to St. Joe's basketball, Jim. We're already getting close. Show's gonna end before the game starts, just all our fans know. I'm not, Tony's got. It's been 2 weeks since St. Joe's basketball broke my heart. We got to get back to St. Joe's basketball.
Let the fans know we did an early show tonight just so that we could get this done before the St. Joe's game.
Tony taking the under, literally betting against the objective of the game. This podcast is amazing. Well, sometimes you got to do what you got to do. Okay, give me Kev's big prediction, Jim. I think it's time before we go off on Billy Lang and the Hawks.
Previous to my arrival here at the studio, I went for a little run.
Down Cross Keys Road?
Down Old Berlin Road in Lindenwald. We talked about the St. Joe's Hawks a little bit.
For those who don't know, Kev called into the show talking about his marathon attempt.
The spread...
Not too long ago.
The spread was 11.5 points in Richmond's favor, looking at it tonight. So
it was originally 12. It's moved.
Ooh.
People's caught on.
Ooh.
But continue.
So Kev took the Hawks to win outright, 84-79, with Jordan Hall to go for 44 and 12.
What? Here's the thing.
Feeling real confident about it.
You know what worries me, Kev? Jacob Gilliard for Richmond, if you didn't know this, has the NCAA record in steals. What's the one thing St. Joe's is really bad at doing? Taking care of the ball. And so what worries me is that Jordan's going to be a little sloppy with the ball, and Gilliard's going to be able to steal it, or he's going to be able to hound Reynolds, who's a freshman. And that's why I picked this game to be a loss originally in my season prediction. This is a Tony has marked this game as a loss. So if we win, it's just, good for me. When I predict a loss and I get a win, I'm not going to complain. But that's what worries me when we preview this game. Jacob Gilliard is a really feisty guard. He's fast. He's old. Like he's like a 6th year or something like that, or 5th year. And that just means he's just had that much more basketball in his life. He has a higher IQ as a senior guard. They have a good center in Golden. It's Grant Golden and Ejike Obina are going to be fighting each other in the paint. That's going to be something to watch for St. Joe's fans. For me, I think the difference maker is one, Jordan Hall, and the other one is going to be Taylor Funk. Taylor Funk has a little bit of a mismatch. Can he exploit it? And can we get Reynolds going? Can we force Gilliard to guard Reynolds, which is he's going to have to. But when Gilliard goes to steal the ball from Jordan Hall, can we find that open man? Because that's what's going to happen in these half-court plays. Gilliard's going to try to swipe the ball from behind. He's going to leave his man open, and Jordan Hall needs to make that assessment and find the open man, who is most likely going to be Reynolds, and then Reynolds has to take the advantage, either by attacking the rim and then exploiting that way. Once you have the mismatch, get the ball to our best player who can penetrate in the paint, and then when he goes in, now the center's got to come and guard him. That leaves Obina open. That leaves Funk open. Cameron Brown can do a backdoor cut. There's just a lot more opportunity. We just need to catch Richmond when they get, we want to catch their hand in the cookie jar. We want to get them when they're trying to be greedy. And I think that if we do that, it's going to be a close game. We beat Richmond last year. This team is better than it was last year for St. Joe's perspective. And Richmond hasn't really gotten that much better from last year. They're like the 6th best or 5th best team in the conference. I think we're the 8th best team. 8 can beat 5. It's a realistic goal. Will it happen? I don't know. 12 points is kind of it's insulting. The game should be closer than that.
I have the NFL playoff sort of situations up.
Yeah, what does it look like?
Finish that out.
Oh, no, go ahead.
We have, so basically the Vikings are playing the Packers, which the Packers need to win in order to clinch the 1 seed. So it looks like the Vikings will probably lose, and we won't have to worry about them. The Falcons are still in the hunt, but they play the Bills, so it doesn't look like they're going to win. The Saints are playing the Panthers. Now, the Panthers are really bad, so the Saints have a shot. So if the Saints win out and we lose out, the Saints will be 9-8, and we will be 8-9.
Yeah, that won't get us in.
And that won't get us in. So that's.
But what I said was, if we win this game, I think we're in.
If we win this game, the Saints are out because they can't overtake us.
If they lose, then we beat them because we beat them in the head-to-head.
Right. And then I don't think the Falcons will have to beat the Bills this week. So basically, the Eagles can clinch by just winning this game against Washington.
Excuse me, Jim. Water went down the wrong pipe there. Yeah, and that's all. Isn't it great feeling when game's fate, your season's fate is in your own hands? We're not waiting on anyone, and this is for a wild card spot, which aren't easy to get.
So just have to beat Washington, who's a dysfunctional team,
which we can do. I think we can do it. Kev is really active in the chat tonight.
Keeping the chat alive.
He is keeping the chat alive. It's better than Evan, who is fired off one message and then went AWOL, probably logged off.
Went dark,
getting ready for the Hawks game, pre-gaming the Hawks game, which we're doing here on Tony's Takes live on YouTube. So I had written this piece, Jim, about Billy Lang and defending him and all the great things. And I'm not going to hash out. You've all heard my defense of Billy Lang on this show. But boy, why I wrote this piece was because, one, I wanted to reflect on how St. Joe's had done, which was pretty good for a non-conference schedule. The other thing was a very new phenomenon is that people from other schools are very interested in St. Joe's, and I've mentioned this a million times on the show. Do fans from other schools have our best interest at heart? No, I don't think they usually do. Why? Because they're inherently fans of another program. They don't want to see St. Joe's beat them. They're inherently rooting for their own team. That's what makes them a fan of their school, not St. Joe's. Otherwise, they would be St. Joe's fans if they really cared that much about St. Joe's. And a lot of them like to go, Billy Lang's a bad coach. Well, if you were not, I understand if maybe you're a St. Joe's fan and you're saying that, but if you're from an outside looking in, why can I trust you as having the right intention for my school in your words? Like, why, when you say something, is it really for the betterment of my program? Why would it's like two countries going to war. Why would one tell the other one how to do it, right? How to recruit, how to coach. There is inherently not in your interest to do that. And a big thing they love to do, after every accomplishment of Billy's, they love to go out and discredit. When we beat Georgetown, They go out, Georgetown's not that good. We beat Temple. Temple's not that good. No, they're not good. They put Duquesne ahead of us in power rankings and say Duquesne had a really good strength of schedule. But then I look at St. Joe's and I go, well, Duquesne didn't play USC or Villanova, and they didn't beat teams like Temple or Georgetown. What, they have a few better losses? And then I point to a team like George Mason, who has terrible losses, and they come out quickly. Oh, injuries, sickness, blah, blah, blah. Well, it's like, well, funny, because I mentioned that last year, and that wasn't good enough for you. So there's a lot of double standards. I can point to it till I'm blue in the face, but quite frankly, I can't. I'm very tired of doing it anymore. So I wrote this very long piece about it, and I think it hit on the nail on the head. It was very hard to refute. It was 1,600 words. It has a lot of the pointers of why we're going in the right direction. It points out to the fact that the recruiting pipeline was not the same once Phil Martelli left. We had to start from absolutely scratch. Transfer portal was not the same as it is now. So teams like George Mason that go to rebuild can get transfers all they want, but St. Joe's can't. A team like George Mason got to keep a player like Josh Oduro, who is, I don't know, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th best player in the league. All of our players left when Billy Lang came to town. So there's like very big differences, but yet people want to ignore those facts. And then when I say, oh, well, they have a bad loss here, or another school has a bad loss there, they go, oh, sickness, illness, but which was never an excuse for Billy Lang, right? When I throw out the Billy Lang excuse, they don't buy it. But when I go after them for their poor strength of schedule, no. So it's a double standard, right? It's a contradiction. They're holding two opposing views at the same time. Billy Lang can't explain away his losses with injuries, with COVID. St. Joe's wins are not that good. Their strength of schedule is weak. I point to another team for all those factors, and they come out with all of the required, excuses to justify their thought, and it's quite sad. And I think of a lot of they go, oh. Another new thing is, scheme. Okay, well, are you watching? A lot of these people, they don't watch every St. Joe's game. I know they don't watch every St. Joe's game. So, for example, Jim, why I bring this up is because St. Joe's got Lynn Greer III. Lynn Greer III is a very, very good player. He is from Philadelphia. He is friends with a lot of the top prospects in Philadelphia. Now we have him, Jordan Hall comes back. That'd be crazy. But we have him, Eric Reynolds. Everyone was like, oh, what happens when Jordan Hall leaves? We have Lynn Greer now. Yeah. This guy just came. Billy, 2 days in the transfer portal, comes to St. Joe's. Picks us. Oh, he left Dayton for us. Billy Lang recruits these great players with a terrible winning record. Oh, he's just a good recruiter. This year we beat Georgetown. Oh, the scheme's not there. We shoot less threes than we did last year, but that's apparently not. He's a terrible scheme artist. We reduced points allowed by 12 points, but we're not good on defense, right? Our defensive scheme's still not good enough. They ignore the progress. They just don't. They want instant. But the fact of the matter is, we score more on the inside now, and we can do that with recruiting. And when you recruit great players, yeah, they do cover up for some mistakes, but. Like, for example, when we lost to Bradley, Billy got us 4 open looks in that game. Against Bradley, there were multiple times that Billy called an inbound play where it got us a funk 3, and it changed the course of the game.
Sure. Well, listen, I don't want to. I hate beating the same drum over and over.
It's
and
like
over again,
it's like living in a crazy world.
But like, let's take this back. Let's rewind. Where were we a year ago? If you look a year ago, I was on this show saying that Billy needed to stop shooting threes.
He was too close to Brett Brown.
Yeah, you remember. And guess what? He changes that. And look at this. We're 6-5. Last year we finished 5-15.
We were 0-5 at this point.
What were we in the conference? 3-9 or something last year? It was nothing like what this team is this year. And part of being a good coach is being a good recruiter. So
that's the second most important thing in college. But it might be the first most important thing. It
really might be, yeah. So if we're talking about how this team is getting better, I mean, they have gotten better. We have a winning record heading into conference play right now.
Do people say John Calipari is a bad coach because he recruits the best players in the country? Of course, there's going to be some scheme limitations, but what made Calipari great and what keeps Kentucky good is that he was an innovative recruiter.
Sure. And just like, let's just look past at what St. Joe's has after the starting 5. It's really nothing pretty. It's nothing that I'd say like, oh, that's one of the best teams in the country. We are where we are right now, and we're only going to get better as Billy finds a way to build his own culture. They say it takes 4 years in order to build a culture as a coach, and after that, because you finally get your freshmen that know what you're talking about, they become seniors, and then they can start sort of kind of build that culture some more, and then you have a farm of your like your coaching scheme.
You need to have the senior Cam Brown on the team every year, and you don't do that without a full pipeline of people going from freshman to sophomore to junior to senior year. But you got to have those lockdown guys who's like, oh, this is our fifth man or sixth man. He's a senior. He scores 10 points, and he plays the way we need him to play.
Now, this is year 3, and let's see. Last year the whole country shut down. So it's not necessarily like this is really his second year, in my opinion. This is really his legit second year as the coach of the St. Joe's Hawks, and he's starting to figure out how to put this team out there and win games. I mean, 6-5, and we had a close game against Bradley, which we both thought we were going to win. It's tough to play on the road, but you look at
that was a tough matchup.
Our home record, we're 5-2. It just seems like we're doing the right things in order to be a team that finishes in the top half of the conference when all is said and done this year.
When I said in my original first of the season piece, I said the game against Temple will decide the season. It will show, did we make progress in the right direction or did we not? And we beat Temple. The
Temple win was a good win. The Penn win was a good win.
Yeah, Penn's not a killer team, but we took care. It's just like my example of that win is a good win because we took care of business. We showed up. We played hard. It was never in question. We won the game. Right? And that's all. And that makes life so much easier for a team when they know come conference play, when we play LaSalle, that's a win. We're going to come in. We're going to play with the way we need to play. We're going to win the game. Oh, we're going to play Duquesne. We're going to play the way we got to win the game. We've beaten better teams. We've handled teams that are in Duquesne's range. We're going to win the game. Right? And when you can win those lower, that's when you start to know you're a better team. It's like, oh, there are 5 teams in the conference that we can beat we're going to beat them 9 out of 10 times or 8 out of 10 times. It's going to get us those 6 wins.
Right.
And then we can steal the 4, 5, 6 needed to get to a really solid conference record.
Sure. My opinion with the local games, the City 6 or the Big 5, is that if we can, it's almost like a division game in the NFL. Like that's the way I think of it. It's like these are our local rivals, and if we can be second in the Big 5 behind Villanova every year, then we did our job in the immediate vicinity of the competition. And then, as a coach and as a team, you develop to win outwards from there, right? So if you can win and be part of the best teams in your local area, then eventually you can go out and you can win against bigger teams in the region. You win against the country. And, that's the type of development I want to see. We should be able to beat Penn, Temple, LaSalle, and Drexel every year.
Yeah. And that's the thing. We're going to go into this game, and they're like, for example, if I say George Mason has bad losses, they go, well, George Mason beat Maryland. It's like, that was the beginning of the year. And it's like anyone can, of course, like those games are going to happen. I'm not trying to discredit. But my original point was you also have bad losses. Like, stop picking that scab. Like, St. Joe's has some decent wins, and they want to pick that scab. And it's like, guess what? Come conference play, St. Joe's going to beat teams. If we beat Temple and Georgetown, there's not many teams in the A-10 who are above that level in KenPom. And UMass, George Mason, Richmond's close to them. They're not that much farther ahead. And quite frankly, I'm very tired of everyone in college basketball using KenPom and ESPN's top stats to stats. It's like, dude, I can see with my eyes St. Joe's has better players than George Mason does. We have 3 guys who are better. First of all, I have 2 players who are better than George Mason's best player. I stand by that. And we've got 3 players who can match, who would easily start on every team in the conference.
Sure. And part of that early season outlook is like teams are still trying to figure out how to play together. Look at us against University of Maryland Eastern Shore. We had to hit a buzzer beater to win the game. It's in the beginning of the season, you don't necessarily have all your schemes right. You don't have all your communication down. So that's part of the thing. You have to develop through the season. And
some synergy.
As the season goes on, it looks like this team, the St. Joe's team, is compatible with each other. And that's what I like to see. That Bradley loss was at least a close loss. And that's what's going to carry into conference play. You're going to play good basketball together. Everybody's communicating. I don't know how St. Joe's doesn't cover the
right. Why don't people give Billy credit? He comes into Bradley. He's not the favorite.
Sure.
The team goes on a really good run to start the game. Second half, they're slow. They're not there, but he finds a way to get the team, and the players do it. They're the ones who at the end of the day do it, but they together as a unit come together and go, we're going to make this game close. They make the game close, and it just doesn't go in the basket. But I can feel confident that if every game is like that, if we could play that like that against Bradley, any team in the A-10, anywhere on the road, I am confident that at least we're going to have games that come down to 1, 2, or 3 baskets.
Right.
And that's fine. I can live with that. That, as we had just said, progress. When we beat Dayton last year, Jim, it was because we shot an unrealistic amount of threes and an unrealistic amount of, like, percentage-wise.
Right. Yeah.
Now we go to play these teams. I know that Obina's going to score their real baskets, their reliable points. And if we do beat a team, maybe it's because we shoot 40% from 3 rather than 35%. But that's different than shooting 70% from 3 to pull a miracle out of the way.
Sure.
And that's my main point.
Right. So give me the preview on Richmond here, because it doesn't look like they've played anybody that's ranked.
No, they haven't.
They lost to Maryland by 6. They lost to Mississippi State by 11. I'm trying to find some.
This is why they're not like an at-large bid team.
Right.
Davidson's an at-large bid team because they had a crazy win against Alabama.
I'm not seeing any amazing wins from them. Like, they beat Hofstra by 13, and they beat
but Hofstra's really good.
Bucknell by 31. Like, I don't.
Which Bucknell beat LaSalle by like 20.
Oh, wow. Okay.
LaSalle's, when I say LaSalle's an easy win, LaSalle's an easy. Oh, and that's the other thing. I love it. They love, you know why they're very afraid of St. Joe's? They see that we have NBA talent like 2 years into a rebuild. Real NBA talent.
Sure, yeah.
We have real recruiting. We have transfers coming here. Educate comes, shows how he can be successful under Lang. I guarantee you that's why Lynn Greer said, oh, wow, that Obina guy who everyone, literally every, I'm gonna refrain from using bad words. But literally every egghead who thinks they know about basketball was literally saying, Obina can't score. Obina can't score. Obina can't play defense. We are reduced points allowed by 12 points this year.
Yeah.
I think it's because Obina's a legitimate center. And while he doesn't block shots, he disrupts shots.
His presence is enough at times, yeah.
And Demir Bishop's been an excellent defender. Demir Bishop has been a crazy good defender. I got to give him props. I was always questionable on him. He's the one player I got totally wrong this year. Couldn't be happier with the defense he plays. Jordan Hall's defense has been a little shaky, but Funk plays decent defense, believe it or not, at power forward. But Obina has been a great defensive presence on the team. He's been a great offensive presence. We were literally saying last year, Obina didn't score any points. He scored 2 points a game. Well, now he's scoring 13.
Sure.
And part of it has to do with the conference, but also it's the fact that Billy took a risk and said, I know that this guy can score more for my team, and his high scoring games were against good competition. So I don't even want to go to the point where I say it's SEC basketball. Yes, you get bullied a lot more physically, so maybe you get more tired. But Obina went out there and had his best games against USC.
Yeah, and that's the
and
thing
had a great game against Villanova too.
That's the thing about St. Joe's. We had to play, like you said, USC and Villanova. Who USC is now, I think they're 7th in the nation, and
Villanova's fallen from
they've
grace.
fallen, but I think that it's just because they lost to Creighton, and I know they lost to Baylor, but Baylor's won, so that was kind of to be expected. My thing is, let's stop beating around the bush here. What is Tony's prediction against Richmond?
First of all, I think Kev is very smart for taking 12, taking the Hawks at 12 for the spread.
I think so too.
Very smart. It's funny. Producers Sean P. and Tommy Higley were just texting me. They're like, what do we think for tonight? And I think my question comes down to who had the COVID issue at St. Joe's? Because that game got canceled.
Right.
If it was like Jordan Hall and like last year and he couldn't play, oof. But if it's someone like Jack Forrest, I think we're fine. With that said, I'm going to say the Hawks lose by 4.
Okay.
I think it's a close game. I think the pause really hurts us. That's what would worry me the most. That's what would worry me from a 12-point standpoint. Like, we haven't played in a while.
Sure.
It could be 12 points. But for me, I think it's gonna be a close game. I think that the St. Joe's wants to prove something, and they haven't played in a while. And Richmond is the type of we beat them last year. They're the type of team that falls asleep very easily, and so we can win this game. It can be close.
So I don't want to get flagged for.
And we can outsize them.
I don't want to get flagged for like misinformation. But if the COVID issue was, let's say it's the new variant, the Omicron variant, then maybe we won't have as much to worry about as far as the fitness. This
is true. We will not be censored for this.
It appears that it's more mild, typically, especially in the younger population, especially college age. So,
and all these guys are apparently vaccinated, so
right.
I'm not worried.
So I don't think that the fitness will really be an issue. It's more about the disruption of getting together as a team practice.
That's what worries me.
Yeah, that worries me too.
But you like to, I don't want to say you like to think these other teams go home for the holiday, but you don't know.
Right.
So, what do you think? So that's my prediction.
Yeah.
I think I'm just going to side on the side that they lose, but it's going to be close. It's going to be like 4 points.
Yeah, I actually think it's going to be a closer game. I'm thinking like
comes down to the last basket.
I'm thinking the total was like 148 or 146 when I saw it.
Man, basketball over-unders are crazy.
So it makes me think it's going to be like a 74-72 type of game.
74-70.
In Richmond's favor. I think it's going to be like, I honestly think it's going to be like a 2-point game.
It sounds about right.
St. Joe's has the ball to tie up the game and
just
maybe
doesn't fall.
We just miss it or something. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, trust me, I would not be surprised if we were looking at each other like, oh, we won.
Yeah. Yeah. It could go the other way.
But I think I'm gonna walk into the game with the expectation that we're gonna lose by a couple baskets.
And just to reiterate kind of where you're at, Obina has been such a game changer this year for the team. I think people want to complain about that Billy Lang's just a recruiter, but to have Obina on this team this year, it's changed the dynamic of what we're able to do.
And the scheme of the team has changed.
We don't have to shoot threes because of Obina.
Right.
Exactly.
And we run the pick and roll a lot cleaner. Yes, sometimes we settle for threes, but those are mainly coming from guys like, you can see it's like the common culprits. It's the Browns, Forests, Bishops. And the great thing about Bishop is he stopped doing that. He's actually not a 3-point shooting culprit. It's like Brown and Forrest who just haven't been able to hit. And then like Funk and Hall always will have the green light because they're both like 40% 3-point shooters when they're not being guarded. So, I think the scheme's changed.
Yeah.
I really think a lot of these people who make these arguments don't watch the team that much.
Well, it's just been more exciting for me as
like how could you see our wins
to watch?
Yeah, how could you see our wins and go, oh, we're worse, or Billy's not? We're improving the way we need to. I'm okay to get rid of Billy if we have the best players in the country and we can't manufacture wins. But as the team roster has gotten better, the wins have gotten better.
I think so too.
And so at some point, I'm not willing to say that it's all Billy's scheme. I think the scheme was indicative of what the roster was, because when you have literally no talent, you have to shooting threes was the option because we just don't have the shooting off the ball talent. It's like the Sixers. They have no one who can score off the ball.
Right.
And so it's like the scheme is just going to be like fire away.
Well, let's just look at the trajectory of St. Joe's, because the trajectory's not down. That's what you have to look at. You look at the past and where you're going, and this team is going upwards. So let's just ride the wave that we're on right now, and I hope that this team plays well. Because the people that just want to beat down on Billy Lang, I don't think that they're truly in it for the success of St. Joe's. They're just in it to try and be right. Everybody wants to be so right about things. Well, it's also groupthink because it's a minor. First of all, as I said in my piece, it is harder to bring a vision for not positivity. I don't want to be glib, but we're building. We have positive momentum. We are standing for something that we haven't proven yet. Right. But I know is going to work, and it's easy just to point to the record and go, he's bad coach. Right. Right. They're doing the easy argument, groupthink argument. We're doing I see this rough piece of coal. Mm-hmm. And I know it can be a diamond. And I'm willing to stake my reputation on it. And I haven't been wrong yet. And I think that that's part of just being a fan. That's the purity of being a fan, is that this is a lump of coal. Right. And this could be a diamond. But you know what? Sometimes it's not a diamond. And that's okay. But you're still going to try and believe and put as much pressure and time into that lump of coal to make it a diamond. And I think that analogy is perfect. And it's never going to turn into a diamond if we just keep finding new pieces of coal. If you just set the coal aside, it's never going to turn into a diamond. Well, but if you keep saying, oh, this piece of coal doesn't work, let's go find another one. Because that's my other issue. They're always like, oh, fire him. Okay, well, who's going to replace him? Right. Is there a new coach? Just another lump of coal. Another lump of coal is going to come around and we're like, okay, well, we're going to turn this into a diamond. Okay, it's we're going to restart that process. That's my problem. It's I would rather get halfway to a diamond and then, we know it's not going to work, but at least we get to keep the nice little pieces. And then, because if we just start from scratch now, we're going to start all the way from scratch. No one's going to stay. Right. And look at the steal, it's so weird to bring the NFL into college basketball, but Look at the Steelers, right? How many coaches have the Steelers have had over time?
4.
4 coaches.
3 in the last 50 years or something crazy.
They ride with their coach. They don't move on. And that's another problem with the Philadelphia area, is that we just want to get rid of the coach and just move on to something new because we think that there's something better out there. It's like, let's just ride this out and see what this guy does with building culture. It's so different than what the world is today. The Steelers live still back in like the 50s where delayed gratification was everything.
Mm-hmm.
And now instant gratification rules the sports world. We got to get a new coach because this isn't working. Well, like, maybe, it's okay to develop a coach every once in a while. It's okay for somebody to have their start. Like, Mike Tomlin's not having the best year. The Steelers are still 500. And they're still in the hunt for the playoffs. It's like, no matter what, they've built such a culture around Pittsburgh that they feel like they're in it every year.
Yeah, look at the Bengals, how long it takes for them to go, the peaks and the dips for the Bengals versus, as you said, it's like Steelers, and then they might go up, and then they're at this level forever, and then it's like, okay, we're going down to 500, but it's like we're hanging out at 500 for a couple years, and we'll be back.
Can't tell you when the Steelers were like last 2 and 14.
And the reason why they're like this now is because they just haven't moved on for the quarterback.
Right.
That, like, honestly, I think that's like the main problem.
Like, let's just give Mason Rudolph the helm because come on, Ben's done. He's way too old, and he's just not playing the way that he used to. I mean, last year you saw his elbow was just like moving on the sidelines. I thought his career was done then.
Yeah, crazy. Well, we've got a little St. Joe's hype on the show. The Sixers are a mess. We don't even talk about them. The Phillies are locked out.
Yeah, Phillies are locked out.
How are Usciences doing?
Usciences. Oh, we'll have to give an update for the sign off on the show.
Yeah.
Let me just talk about Christmas Eve because
we've got 5 minutes.
For those that don't know, I'm a firefighter in South Jersey.
I knew that.
And a certain Sixers player who lives a town over.
Did you respond to that fire?
Our company did. I was unfortunately at a Christmas Eve
You were
party,
opening presents,
drinking
eggnog,
opening presents and drinking eggnog. And
a virgin eggnog, no alcohol.
We got called in, but we didn't do anything because it's a town.
We let the house burn down.
We're just like support at that point because the town that he was
emotional support.
They have like control over the scene. Yes.
You bring the blankets, the hot cocoa.
So anyway, there was a fire. I can't say the nature of what started the fire or anything, but I thought it was interesting that Sixer lived so close by to us.
Yeah.
And I know that South Jersey's filled with a lot of professional athletes.
This is a public news story, by the way. If you Google it, you'll see. If you go on 6ABC.
Yeah, it was Tyrese Maxey, for those that don't know. Yeah, you can see it everywhere. It's
not like we're revealing private information. This was all over the news.
But let me give the quick update on Usciences. Basically, since the last time that we were here, they played a game on the last show that the same night of the last show that we had.
How dare they?
They lost 94-55 to Fairmont State, number 14 in the nation for D2 schools.
Uh-oh.
So, and then their game on the 20th got postponed. So they don't have another game until Holy Family on the 5th.
And there you have it. Breaking news from Jim.
Usciences.
He ignored the call for help when the house was burning down and instead researched University of Sciences basketball here on Tony's Takes. You heard it. The Usciences continue to lose games. When are they going to finally merge with St. Joe's and let Billy coach both teams?
They're taking down Holy Family on the 5th, I promise you.
We'll have to get the spread from our in-house bettor, Kevin. So there you go. Okay, shut it down. We're shutting it down.
Shutting it down.
We got St. Joe's coming up.
The Hawks are playing. Oh, and the Sixers play at the same time against the Nets.
Yeah, but watch
good basketball.
Watch good basketball. Be a man. Get your ESPN Plus subscription. I think that's the new saying for the show. Be a man. Get ESPN Plus. Unless you want to borrow Jim's, we share the passcode. Okay, Jim. Well, thanks for coming on to the show. I know we changed things around and it was a little bit last minute, but we still got our full 55 minutes in.
Yeah, good show. I mean, we have plenty of content. We could go for 4 hours on the radio.
We literally did no prep.
Yeah, I think the fans probably knew that.
they could tell already. It's like, wow, this show is really good. Yeah, so that's it from us. I don't think we have anything else to add. If you like the show, please make sure to rate and review it on Apple Podcasts, here on YouTube. Give it a like, subscribe to the channel if you've never been here before. Double click the notification bell. That way you get notified every time we go live. Share the show with your friends. That's the best way to spread the news about Tony's Takes. We're talking all things Philly sports here, especially a little bit of St. Joe's jibber jabber, which took out probably a half hour of the show. And speaking of that, go watch St. Joe's. They start at 7. It's going to be a great game. We're all high on the Hawks right now. I think great things are coming to Hawk Hill. Jim, thanks for being on the show. It was a pleasure, and I think we're going to be very happy after this Sunday when the Eagles win.
Great show, Tony. Yeah, I think we're going to be even more ecstatic when I tie you up for the record.
Uh-oh. That's going to be a good one. You'll have to tune in next week to hear about that and to see if Jim was able to tie us. Well, thanks for listening to the show. For everyone here at Tony's Takes, it's been a pleasure. We look forward to seeing everyone right here on YouTube for the next episode of Tony's Takes.
The premier sports talk radio, it's Tony's Takes.
Here we go.